resolution. Welcome aboard the DragonShip. Today, we're going to be talking about egos. Mine's bigger than yours.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a fearless stride. Sons of Thor, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desires. Roaring engines and lightning in our eyes, united we stand. Strength won't compromise from the east to the west. We sail every road with our warriors. Never feel alone. Landscapes of freedom beneath open skies, a promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms and tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
SKOL. All right, SKOL, you savages. Welcome aboard the DragonShip today. Today, I wanted to discuss egos in a few different aspects, both dealing with your own as well as dealing with others, say in work or, even at play. We all know the eggnog guys. But we'll go around the panel here. Welcome in Mike Steele. How are you today, sir?
I am fantastic. It is a beautiful 69 degrees here in Las Vegas. We got a light breeze. The leaves that do exist are turning. It's a great day in America, everyone, and I'm thankful and grateful to Thor and the other Drakars to be here on the DragonShip today.
SKOL. All right, Paul, welcome in.
Man, that was an enthusiastic thing that you got going on there, Mike.
Thank you.
I've been busy last couple of weekends. Nurse Chick and we went on an epic motorcycle ride 2 weekends ago to Salt Lake City, which is the longest she's ever been on a motorcycle, which was real fun. We went to a wrestling show out there, and then last weekend I went with my family to the infamous Casa Bonita in Denver.
Yes.
My brother got tickets. He was on a year-long wait list, and he got tickets for the whole family. And so we had this last-minute family party out there.
Well, if I may, what do you mean tickets? Because the last time I went to Casa Bonita, I just walked right in.
Yeah, well, so if you didn't know, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the guys who created South Park, they bought Casa Bonita. They spent $40 million renovating it. They had to do that. They could have tore it down and spent way less, but it's a historical building, so they weren't allowed to. So they had to spend that much money renovating it. The food is better now, and it's reservation only now. And so,
oh wow, that's why.
Yeah, so it's reservation only, and it's about a year-long wait list. They opened it up though recently to the public to get on the reservations. It's sold out in 2 months worth, sold out already. So it's quite the experience. They've done a really good job with it. The food's much better, because it used to be like people would complain about the food, but you didn't go there for the food anyway. You went for the cliff diving and stuff, but the food's much better.
And the mariachi band that comes right to your table.
They just have the mariachis just playing now. But they have like man, bear, pig coming to your table now instead of the gorilla.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, see, I went in 2015.
Yeah. So because it's the South Park guys, there's a lot of South Park influence in there. So instead of the gorilla, there's man, bear, pig. Cartman has his own table. You could go and see Cartman and get your picture taken with Eric Cartman.
Oh, well, so that's why now it's a South Park theme park.
Yep,
it's not Casa Bonita.
Disney World.
Right, it's the Disneyland of Mexican restaurants. So
okay, Casa Bonita.
Other than that, if you guys didn't know, my book came out. What was it, 2 weeks ago now? But of course, Thor's like, oh, I'm so excited to talk about it on the show, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be there. And he goes, it's launch day. What are you doing? I'm like, I got plans. Sorry. So anyway, the book is out. You can get it on paperback and hardcover, and I'll drop a link to that in the chat.
Awesome. And AJ, how are you today, sir?
It's Saturday. It's my working weekend. I work nights. I'm tired. but I had a blast doing a live stream with Paul and Thor on his book release, and been hanging out with Glenn and yourself on Glenn's stream, and I'll be joining Vince later for his monthly Zoom meetings. Try to recruit Jack Donovan to the project as well.
Nice. And how about you, Thraith? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. My book is out now too. Still working on the paperback thing. There's a couple things I've got to fix before they'll issue that. But the hardback, hardcover, and the Kindle is out. So
Excellent.
but that's what I've been doing for 2 weeks, trying to get this book out.
Right.
Right.
You know what's funny, Wraith, is when I was getting ready with my book, I was talking to Ryan Stone, and Ryan Stone's like, "You're gonna hate your book, dude. You're gonna fucking hate your book by the time it's done because of all the times you have to go back, fix things, fix the editing, fix the cover, fix whatever. You got to do it like 500 times." So
Well, and like I said, I'm beginning to hate this cover, Thor, because it has been a monster trying to get every little detail right that they want right. So, but
yeah, got to get it centered just right within the. Yeah, it's tough.
And it changes page by page. One page makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
right. So, but I spent all evening yesterday getting the hardcover fixed and submitted that, and they approved it within a few hours. So the hardcover's there.
However, when it's done, it's a badass book. Let me
Okay.
put it that way. It's worth the extra effort.
It is, but
sure.
it's a pain in the ass too. So
No, Wraith, it's in your book. Nothing worth doing is easy.
you're right.
So I'm gonna call you on that.
So
It's
then,
All
worth
right.
doing.
then Paul harangued me about my other book. I actually published 2 books this week.
I saw that and I read them both.
Well, I was just shocked that I was like, man, you dropped 2 in a week. That's crazy. Not a bad idea. It's just wow, you're really busy on writing books.
Yeah.
He put a lot of effort into that. I could see that you put that much effort. I would be in your shoes too. Yeah, doing covers with Amazon and using the calculator and just change. I just changed one word and it changed a page break and it changes the cover. It's
Yeah.
stuff like that. But that's the cost of doing it. It's got to make it worth it, you know.
Yeah, so I've come to my form. The way I'm going to do it from now, I'm going to release the Kindle first because that seems to be the easiest one to get into the mix.
Most people do. Yeah.
Yeah, Kindle's super easy. Yeah, the
So-
paperbacks and hardcovers, the real pain.
And as I was talking to Paul in Telegram the other day, I still have 2 books that I'm editing, so hopefully I'll get those out in the next few months.
Somebody got inspired with all the books he's been sitting on for the last 3 years.
I wrote them, and like I said,
I know.
as I said to Paul, I said, Thor asking me to do this kind of kicked me in the ass to get them all done.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to know Ray from the beginning, and he's had a lot of this stuff ready. And that's why he did so well in the Men's Empowerment Network and why we became some good friends. He has great content. And now to see him get his stuff out there, it's a real pleasure, definitely. And that would be the highlight of what I would announce today as well, for sure. And his link to his Amazon is in the chat. I threw it in there. So,
Yes, sir. And last but definitely not least, the God amongst men, Thor. How are you today?
kind of like Wraith, I'm lifting a heavy hammer and just holding it out there until I can't stand it anymore. Oh, no, that's right in the book. Yeah, and that's getting through Amazon.
Yes, sir. So, and real quick, I do apologize to everybody watching. The default got reset when I hit live, and I didn't notice it until I'd clicked the button. So we're at 720p instead of 1080p. So I just checked.
No
I
one
can't
cares.
redo it.
No one cares. It's okay.
Don't worry.
Just figured I'd let everybody know. My girl just texted me and said, "Yeah, it's a little wonky." I'm just like, "Oh, fuck." Yeah.
You know what? You know what I've learned over the years of podcasting is that people don't necessarily care about video quality. What they care about is audio quality.
That's true.
Definitely. Yeah, that is correct. So as long as you can hear us all right, if that's the case, we might have to pull the plug and restart. But that being said, today's theme I wanted to talk about, because this is something I've been seeing going around a lot. Some individuals I've seen are suffering from a acute case of hubris. Right. So I wanted to talk about different aspects of dealing with ego. So, basically I want to do more of a free flow because I was going to come up with some questions, but I remember the last few times we've had very specific questions we got sidetracked and there was bleed over and it got more messy than anything. So I figured we'd just keep it, start out kind of what I talked about in one of the previous episodes about like knowing if you're the problem or not. Like, how do you address your own ego, right? And how do you notice, like, if your ego is getting out of control and causing you to make bad decisions? Maybe a friend's trying to warn you and you're not listening to them. Starting with Mike, what are your thoughts on your own ego and how you deal with your own ego and dealing with others?
I would say it's very obvious when someone is more accomplished than myself. There really isn't a whole lot of ego there because I'm able to logically check at the door. Okay, what is this person's accomplishments versus my accomplishments? And if they're way above me, then I'm like, okay, yeah, like a senior person at work, like a network architect, or the vice president of information technology or something like that. I can listen to them and be like, I need to listen to this person because they're accomplished, they make this amount of money and such like that. Where my ego definitely comes into play is when I would say someone is less accomplished than me. And then it's very easy to just be like, kind of like that. So like if some help desk person thinks that they know how to configure a IP address reservation, and you find out they don't, and so that's where your ego can kind of take off. And so to check that ego, I remind myself that I myself did work at a service desk once. I myself was once at this level, and the same can goes in the professional environment. It can also go into this interpersonal environment. Like that expression we all like to say, we were all blue-pilled once. So that's how I like to do it. I try to remember where I came from. And I think that's really hard for people, and I think it's especially hard for older people when dealing with the younger generations, young millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and even their own children. It's like, were you not a child once? Have you forgotten? No, you're just obsessed with getting work done and stuff like that. You forgot what it was like to be a child and want to be around with your parents because your parents were all there was for so many years, especially if you grew up without friends or a neighborhood or a school or something like that. So remembering your own past, I would say, is more effective than attempting to put yourself into their shoes.
Excellent. All right, Paul, you're next.
Man, I used to really have an ego problem, if you didn't know. Not anymore, though, because I am one of the most humblest guys you'll ever meet. Just ask me and I'll tell you. Now, we all have a little bit of an ego, and sometimes it's okay. Like, sometimes your ego will get you far. I think when it becomes a problem is when it impacts your ability to work with others. If you do have that kind of thing where you're not willing to sort of see things from another person's point of view because of your ego, you're like, why am I even listening to you? You're below me. Like that could be problematic. However, if you do have a little bit of that tactical empathy, which is a term I learned from Apex Mindset, if you have a little bit of a tactical empathy, you can look at things objectively from other people's points of view. You might disagree with them, but you don't necessarily need to get your ego in a tizzy about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. AJ.
Man, I gotta write a second book now just on this subject alone. I wish I knew about this sooner and put it in my current book, which is like 99% done. But ego, for me, I kind of leave it down to two things that I wish I learned a little bit earlier in life. Frame being one of them, knowing how to operate in your frame and when you're operating in somebody else's frame. The other part with it is I am on the search as I get older for that ego death, because I think everyone needs to experience that deep ego death and have a almost like an existential crisis to develop further in life.
That makes sense.
One thing I'll also add to ego is I talk about it in the new book that's out is our paradigms, our egos protect our paradigms.
Mm.
You know, we have
Our Viking paradigms?
our Viking paradigms. We have these deeply ingrained beliefs and habits in us, and anything that challenges that, our ego protection layer pops in and wants to fight. It wants to reject anything that goes against that paradigm. And so that can be unhealthy, and it can hold you back in life, you know, in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I got one that I'll go into a little bit later, especially with my naval career and being a nuclear operator, that deals with creating a very unhealthy ego.
All right, Wraith, your thoughts? Oh, you're on mute.
Ego. You know, everyone has an ego, and most people can walk around with an imbalance. Okay, from the super id to the narcissist. Okay, and I think, you know, for me, how I check myself is, you know, not so much worrying about what people say or think about me, but at least being aware of it. Because if you're aware of it, you can at least look into yourself and say, yeah, I was wrong there. And empathy is a part. And empathy, for some people, isn't natural. It's something you got to learn. And tactical empathy, like Paul was talking about, the other Paul was talking about, there we go. You know, and that's what he's talking about. You have to learn, at least if you can't be empathetic, you know, from an emotional standpoint, you have to at least be empathetic from a rational standpoint. If you don't do that, you're not making decisions that are in the best interest of both parties. So, like I said, for me, how I check my ego is I listen and learn from the people around me, whether or not my presentation is empathetic, because I'm not a very empathetic person, so I've been told. You know, it's not emotional content that you know exudes from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to basically use tactical empathy a lot to see, hey, you know, did I handle this situation correctly? Did I do more damage than good? And as you get older and you get more into who you are, and you start understanding, you know, what's authentic about you, or what's true about you, if you want to put it that way, you temper you have less narcissistic tendencies, and you know, you kind of bring the ego into balance.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and Thor.
Excellent. I'm going to address Susano a la Richard too with Dunning-Kruger in a moment. I see that they're looking at that as well. Ego. Interesting. I'll probably have the opposite opinion here. I think ego is tied very closely to inner monologue. In the case of someone like me, who is a god amongst men, and that's how I approach everything in life, that creates an extreme amount of success through belief, laws of attraction. It is a very accomplished way of thinking and regulating emotion. There is the risk of Dunning-Kruger effect, where you become so confident that you are strongly overconfident, either offend people or get into situations socially because of it, or you actually do stupid things like I did in 1991, where I stuck my cranium right up my rectum and I grabbed a hold of 12,000 volts because I thought I knew better. That's the extreme example of crossing the line of overconfidence because of ego. At that time, I knew for sure I was the world's greatest power lineman and I could do no wrong. And because I looked at the correct maps, it couldn't possibly be energized, and I got the shock of a lifetime. So that tempered me a little bit, and it didn't really give me humility, but it gave me some modesty with ego. I think you should have a very strong ego, but you should keep it in check with modesty and etiquette and decorum. So you need to be polite. You can do really well. I'll tell you a prime example of somebody that has that and adds wit to it. And they're a model that I would always aspire to be, and that's Chris Hemsworth. Listen to his interviews. Look at his body language. You know the man has a huge ego, but he keeps it in such a place that he's in the now with those people. And when he's engaged one-on-one, he gives them equal ego status with himself. Pretty amazing. You have to pay attention to it. If you're not paying attention to it, it's just another interview. But it's pretty amazing. I looked up ego under the National Institute of Health, and it came up with self-regulation, ego depletion, and inhibition. There's some psychological issues with ego. And the number one stuff is if you have ego depletion, you have reduced willpower and self-control. So they are of the opinion if your ego is harmed or flattened, your self-control, your impulses will be on uncheck. It looks like it might be intrinsically tied to your self-talk. And then it says how to regulate the ego. This is right out of the APA, is ask yourselves why you feel better than everyone else. That's contradictory. and then remember your failures. Okay, remind yourself of your failures often, it says. It also says compliment others. Remind yourself of how awesome other people can be. That is actually important. That's the Chris Hemsworth lesson on ego. And then it says apologize more often. Strongly disagree with that. Unless you did something messed up. That's going to flatten your ego. It's going to put you in a weak spot. And then, you know, if you continue to search and you look at ego, I mean, they take stuff right out of Rafe's book, such as journaling, goal setting, positive affirmations from Paul's, reframing negative thoughts. These aren't real thoughts. They should be this. Developing an open-mindedness and positive self-talk, which is what I was aligning with as a God amongst men. You can really improve your life by doing that. And that's to fix an ego, to make it optimal, which is kind of contradictory to the APA and the National Health Institute. So you can find just about anything you want on ego. So I thought I would throw all that out there. But as far as me checking ego, I had a physical check. I had leaned into the territory of Dunning-Kruger, where I knew everything, and no one would stop me.
Yeah, you were suffering from, as I said, an acute case of hubris, where your arrogance had gotten so out of control, you had made no mistakes for so long that you thought your shit didn't stink and you were invincible.
And here's the thing, I was actually really good, and I had a lot of affirmation from the outside to do it, but I didn't temper it like I talked about with modesty, decorum, and etiquette. And therefore, I made choices that were stupid, and it nearly cost me my life, and 27 days in the hospital, 14 skin grafts from my hands and face. So I got to learn that lesson, but I got to survive it. So don't be that guy.
Yeah,
And
don't
that's
skip
how I learned
steps.
mine.
Don't skip steps. That's a key lesson there, I would say, is that you knew the step you needed to do, but because of your own ego, you chose not to do it. You skipped a step thinking you could, and you shouldn't have, because that's exactly why you found out the hard way, the hardest way possible almost. So yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, because I like what Mike was saying about like keeping yourself grounded based on those competence hierarchies, because that's one of the things that's aided me in staying grounded, and then the tactical empathy, understanding how other people are perceiving you, but not letting it control you. Because that was the mistake I made for years. I would pay attention to what people were saying, criticizing me about my ego. That's why I make the joke, my ego is bigger than your ego. Because people have always accused me, your ego's out of control. It doesn't matter what I'm doing or how humble I am. I've always been accused of my ego being out of control. And I had to come to the conclusion, logically, that, oh shit, I am just so awesome that even when I'm as humble as I possibly could at the lowest of the low, I still have enough self-esteem where people think that I am suffering from ego hubris. And I'm just like, well, is that true? And I've looked at it over the years, and most of the problems that I've had that they accused me, it was dead ass wrong. All the issues that they told me I would get was actually because of what Thor was criticizing, apologizing too much, admitting I was wrong too much, especially when I wasn't, and it's like, sometimes you've got to pick your battles. You got to choose what hill you want to die on. But when you're dealing with other people's egos, right? I found that often when people are accusing me of having an ego, because I do keep myself in check, I found that I still get people getting triggered by my ego. And what I find a lot of times is that those individuals usually have their own ego problem. And that's why I'm a big fan getting into the next question is, I like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, because it teaches you a lot of those methods for dealing with the next question. How do you deal with somebody else, say in a workplace, with an out of control ego where they are, say, your boss or a coworker, somebody that thinks they know everything, but they clearly don't based on the results? And that's another key thing. You got to measure your results. Like, are you getting good results or are you getting bad results? Because people are going to tell you you're getting bad results. But if you look at the numbers, like, actually, like, I've been accused of yelling at people too much in the Fresh and Fit Discord. But then when I'm looking at the numbers of all the people I yelled at, I'm like, I helped all these people and they thanked me. So what was I doing wrong? It's like they needed the wake up call. So starting, we'll go back around. We'll start with you, Thor. How do you deal with other people's out of control egos, and how do you like let them say save face like Dale Carnegie talks about?
Yeah, actually, letting a man walk away with some dignity is a really important skill. And we can get into that later. It's a little more complex. But first of all, I need to apologize to all you guys here, especially on the panel. I apologize sincerely to you guys for being such a badass god amongst men that you look so small on screen. It wasn't my intent. It is actually to have you guys part of the rising tide and raised to my level. So I apologize for that. Didn't mean to make you guys look small. But you'll be gods amongst men too. Anyway. Back to dealing with somebody else's ego. The best way is to plant seeds and give credit. If I can give credit and I can guide their decisions, particularly if I'm managing upward, it's a good thing. It's right out of the laws of power. I don't mind giving credit for my accomplishments almost all the time because I know my value. And in order to do that, I'm planting seeds with someone that has a huge ego. They know, I know. And ultimately, if I'm going to have a long-term relationship with them, that's where I'm going to go. So I can get a better relationship and actually manipulate them in my favor, particularly if they're responsible for my performance reports or if they're going to input something on my end that's going to affect me in my career or with the perception of how I'm saw in my work group. So that's the kind of approach I take. If there's somebody that's just full of Dunning-Kruger and they're just a complete ass, they will weed themselves out, and it's not that hard. And guess what? I can stand there right by the hole, and when they're ready, I'm going to tell them this is Sparta, and they're going to go.
And you won't even have to kick. You just go.
I won't even have to kick. I just
pop the bubble.
And I don't even have to be mean about it because people like that are going to overstep anyway. I don't have to. And the temptation is to gossip. Oh, did you hear so-and-so? They're doing this, they're doing that. And it hits us all. It always does. Did you hear what so-and-so said on their stream? They said it about you, Darl.
Yep.
And it's like, you know what? At least they're talking about me.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, like, great.
Yeah.
Rent free.
Yeah, I
Rent-free.
I tend not to really put too much stock in that sort of stuff. Unless it's a direct confrontation, in which case that's going to take immediate action, and I have to decide what that's going to be. Whether it's administrative violence or actual, removal of myself or actual removal of resources and value from that proposition. I'd much rather have a value exchange with somebody even that has a shitty ego, as long as I can guide it in some fashion, even if it takes time. I definitely would rely on the laws of power to do that. Saying less than is necessary, let them make assumptions. If they do, and then it turns out wrong, it's on them and not me. Anyway, just a couple of them there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, Wraith, how about yourself?
I think, when you're dealing with other people, you have to look at, I tend to categorize people. All right. And how I treat people is based on that categorization. If you go to what Mike was saying, someone that doesn't have the skill, but is trying to tell you how to do something, I would probably put those people into the mentor and steward category, and work with them and try to bypass their biases, and the bias isn't against me. The bias is against what they think their knowledge and skill level is. So then you have the person that's basically an equal. Those are the easiest ones to deal with because those two, that's the person you can agree to disagree with. And with that person, the managing the conversation, managing, working together, stuff like that, it's fairly easy. The person with, the super ego, which borders on narcissism, kind of like Thor said, you let them hang themselves, and they'll self-exclude one way or another, and from a group, and then you have the option to you can say, look, I don't agree with you, therefore this conversation's ended, the friendship's ended, or whatever. I don't suffer fools lightly, and I don't have them in my life. If someone acts that way or behaves that way, yeah, we're done. Because life's too short, and I'm 55 years old. Life's too short to live with that kind of drama every day. It's just too short.
Yep, no point in arguing all day every day. I'd learned that the hard way. All right, how about yourself, AJ?
I got a few things on this question. So a few of us guys in this space talk about a book called When I Say No, I Feel Guilty by Manuel J. Smith. That book has got some excellent techniques when dealing with someone who's got an ego out of control. Another one is, we all mention here multiple times, Amuse Mastery comes in very well as a tactic to use against people with a destructive ego or a ego that's just out of control. One final thing is try to work with your management. If you and your manager are on good terms, and like your HR or whatever, and I hate to bring them up, but try to cultivate a workplace that people check their egos in at the door. I found that helped me out a lot when I was dealing with the egos that come from the people who worked at Amtrak when I was working for a company that contracted with them, especially the ex-Navy chiefs. They had Dunning-Kruger up the wazoo, and they didn't like some former E5 was a supervisor of them, and bumped a lot of heads.
Yep, I could see that.
Yeah, Amtrak's famous for that.
Oh, dude. I'll never ride an Amtrak train to this day, let alone I'm banned from Amtrak property. Long story behind that one. Tell you guys.
No, I mean, their management, I've known several employees. They're famous for that stuff.
Oh, it's like the assistant superintendent of mechanical at one point when I was there, the one that was in charge when the train derailed onto I-5. She had no fucking right being a manager of Amtrak because she had a degree in early childhood education.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, she's a DEI hire for sure.
I was just about to say diversity hire.
To be fair, what other kind of fucking job can you get with a degree like that? I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta go get some job somewhere else.
But she was a DEI hire. She was a black lesbian.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I wouldn't think that degree would qualify you for running a train. But
or the mechanical aspects of a train, anyways, and train maintenance.
Getting a train ran on you, maybe.
Yeah.
Ask the cop about that, who went to Amtrak after she had a train ran on her. I'm like,
Lord.
oh, look. That's all
All
right.
Go ahead, Paul.
What is it? Dealing with other people's egos?
Yeah, in the workplace or otherwise.
I think a lot of that comes down to frame and your own emotional control, and then how you deal with other people. If you have strong frame, it's kind of like what Ryan Stone says all the time, right? Anything outside your frame is funny or amusing. So if someone has an overwhelming ego and you just know that they're full of shit, sometimes it's just funny to go, yeah, okay, all right. Yep. That's an interesting perspective you got there, or whatever, right. And just don't let it bother you. It's really hard for a lot of people, because when they start seeing someone who they perceive as having an ego that's out of check and it's unjustifiable, like they almost get offended by that. But if you have strong frame, you don't get offended that easy. So you're just sort of, laugh it off, like, okay.
Oh, that's perfect, Paul. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's their folly. It's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real quick.
One-sided.
Real quick. I'm just looking through the chat real fast. Thanks, Siege D, for liking everybody's channel. Appreciate it, man. Shout out to you.
Siege.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Siege.
Yeah, Siege is a big supporter of all of our channels.
He really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, watch that video I sent you. You got a link to it if you're interested. Power lineman career can make you a lot of money. You're going to work a lot of hours. You're going to work hard. You're going to work with nothing but men if you can handle it. You're going to
work up high.
You're going to need an ego for it, especially when you're hanging off the skid of a helicopter.
That sounds fun, Thor.
Well, you kind of need to think you're a god amongst men when you're hanging off of your ass on a skid and you're about ready to bond on to 500,000 volts. So you do need a bit of an ego and a name like Thor.
Yes, sir. All right.
Or
How about
Maverick.
yourself, Mike?
So how we deal with other people's ego? I was closing my window right when you asked it, I think. I had stepped away.
Yeah, how you deal with an out of control ego when you're dealing with another individual, either like in personal life or say in a workplace environment.
Malicious compliance.
Ooh, yeah.
That's good too. That's really good.
Fucking love it.
At work, basically I got to use malicious compliance. I was kind of telling you guys a little bit before we started that a network engineer changed a connection, which severed our satellite office connection to a data center. And when we called him and asked him, hey, did you change anything? Like, yeah, I did this. Like, you know we're still here, right? We need email, we need data, we need printer servers and stuff like that. And he goes, but you're closed. And my VP standing over my shoulder, and he leans in so that his face is in the camera so he can look at the engineer in the eye and say, the president of the casino property begs to differ. And so then my VP took what that guy did, to internal audit and internal compliance. Basically, the guy shut off a network connection to a data center without putting in a ticket, without putting in a change request, without submitting it for change review board, none of that. And so malicious compliance. Now, in personal life, I actually have a lot of work to do here. I have a lot of growing to do because as I have said before to my brothers here on the DragonShip, I feel like the ignorant little boy who just wants all of his friends to get along and doesn't understand why I like this guy, why don't these two guys like each other? It blows my mind. I don't get it. So why can't two men who have the same goal, improve the lives of men everywhere, rule 0, why can't these two men that have the same goal get along? Why can't Pearl and Chrissy Mayer get along? I don't know. I like Pearl. I like Chrissy Mayer. I played Among Us with Chrissy Mayer a couple nights ago. She's a cool cat. Why are they fighting? I don't get it. And so that is where I have to grow and either check out. And what I do right now is I don't poke, right? So I don't DM Pearl, I don't DM Chrissy, I don't tweet at them both and go, hey, why can't you guys just get along? No, don't never do that shit. But I still, that's the part that I'm still growing with, is I want to be able to not even have that be a thought anymore, to the point where I don't care about these two people's beefs, even though I like them both, to get to the point where I don't care anymore because I'm too busy. That's where I have a lot of growing to do.
Well, you gotta understand why people disagree. They disagree because they have different value investments. Okay, two people can want the same thing, but not have the same values and invest in something on a totally different, two different ways. So if you understand the goal, which is, to help people, and you understand that not everybody's going to be helped by one person's value investment and how they display information or how they transfer information. And that's why, in this group, we all say the same thing, we just say it different ways. And we say in that different way reaches different people at different times in their lives. And when you get two people that, are invested in the goal, which is the helping people, and they use their own experience as, this is how I help people. Okay. And this is how, and then the value says, their value towards that object tells them that person should be doing the same thing I'm doing. Okay. And it has to be done the same way I'm doing, because the more you invest in the goal or the purpose, the more, and you've succeeded at it, the more invested you is in the path or the assembly of the purpose. So you can't, when two people are fighting, I just say, okay, you're both right. and leave it at that, because there's nothing you can do to convince them unless you can change their values. You know, but what you might try to have them realize is you both have the same goal. You just do it in different ways. And the 10,000 people on your YouTube that like you know, understand the way that you feel and understand those values. The 10,000 that don't, but like her, they're on that path. And that's the problem. Way too many people think there's only one path to success.
Yep, I say it all the time. Many ways to win, far more many ways to lose.
Right. You know, so, and that's why, you know, I work with Thor. You know, we have the same value, we have the same purpose. We have similar values. But the way Thor does it, the way I do it, the way Paul does it, they're all different.
Would you say you guys don't get at each other's throats because you're not ego invested in your method of helping men?
I think we're all ego invested in our method of helping men, but what we are is we're mature enough to understand. I'm not going to reach 100 out of 100 men.
I'll agree with that statement. One thing, when I first started doing my podcast, I thought there was only one way, like there was only one method that worked to really get women, right? There was only the 3% method to get women. And then what changed my perspective on that was interviewing lots of other guys in the space and realizing that there's many different ways to skin a cat. There's lots of effective ways. Sometimes they're very similar, but slightly different, but there's lots of different ways, and you've got to figure out what works for you. There's not just one way. And so that really caused me to listen to other people's perspectives, you know, when it comes to dating and relationships and stuff like that, and not be so ego invested into my method. You know, my method worked for me. So I invite you to try it out, but if it doesn't work for you, find another channel that resonates with you better. You know, I don't care.
Paul's stuff is really great. I have a couple I can add on to this if you want, because it's really important in this space. We may not agree on stuff, but the way we communicate is super important. And I seem to, I'll just say it because it's the truth. I seem to get along with everybody in this space from the top to the bottom. And one thing is I recognize their ego, their accomplishments, and focus on what they have done in the space. And the value exchanges, I always lean towards their side because it's true, you know, and that helps set up the communication. Don't talk behind somebody's back that you wouldn't do in front of their face. Prevents all the beefs and all the BS. But like in this group where we're really tight, we can say anything, we can hash it out, and that is true. But there's also a method of the communication. How we say things to each other is important because we have emotions too that play into our egos. I mean, if I'm talking with Paul or with any of these guys, AJ, and we run into a disagreement, if I say, no, you're wrong, AJ, there is an emotional component to that. I'd go, wrong, and I'd interrupt you, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's interrupting you when you're actually making a point, they don't respect you. I'm sorry, they don't care what you're saying. They only care what they're saying. And this group doesn't really do that. Now, if I was to do the same thing and I had a disagreement with you, I would wait and I'd say, AJ, I beg to differ. Here's why. You see the difference? And then I would say something like, man, you do this and this that's so valuable. Why would you want to think this way about our direction on the DragonShip? Tell me, I need to understand. I just set you up in a whole different direction in a really good way.
NLP.
That's how we do it here. We also, try not to talk with that what's super popular today, which is interrupt and say, no, you're wrong. That's become super popular. Or debate when there's no debate possible. I can't tell you how popular that's become. Just watch anything on
bad faith argument to create a disagreement out of thin air.
I see it all the time on Glenn's stream, and it's like it's one of those things I've learned in the last 3 years in this space, especially from Wraith and Thor. It's like the whole listen to understand, not listen to respond.
Well, that's good. That's a good example of Glenn's channel, because I was on a couple of weeks ago to discuss religion, And a lot of people were expecting a heated debate. And Glenn and I didn't have a heated debate. We had a very good discussion, and it was a lot of mutual understanding. And I think that kind of stuff is healthy. It wasn't like, I was trying to prove him wrong or he was trying to prove me wrong. It was, hey, let's understand each other's perspectives on this and let the audience decide. Like that.
We don't do that individually to each other with our egos. We take that in a different direction. But yeah.
Oh yeah. If I have an agreement with Glenn, I take it to the fucking ring.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Exactly.
Yes. Now let's also not forget, guys, that especially here on the internet, a lot of things are done for content. People. Yeah, exactly. People like a lot of people criticize, like I'm wearing the hat right now, Friday Night Tights. That whole group of really cool guys. Definitely. They when they start talking Star Wars or Star Trek or something like that, and they all like start shouting at each other, like, no, Kirk was an asshole and this and that, and Picard's better, and kiss my ass and this and that. They're doing it for content. They don't actually. They're not actually angry. They're doing it because loud. Was it like not bodacious, but basically
bravado?
Loud bravado and hyperbolic points make for good content, and that drives views and engagement and thumbs up, etc., etc.
It's the ultimate apex fallacy.
And I will tell you a place where you can hone these communication skills. I'll use a really good example of somebody that is so good. Just watch a few minutes of his monologues and then watch his interviews, and you'll see he's very adept at it, and that's Orion Taraban. Very adept and can orate very clearly to get value where there's almost no value. And so use those kind of lessons. And where you practice something like this, hey, we got Beer Club. We got Beer Club, and we got the Dragons monthly membership. These are the places where you can have these conversations openly, whether they're argumentative or you're trying to hone your communication skills so that you can plant those seeds and you can get the value you want out of somebody that might have Dunning-Krugers and an ego that drives you insane, yet you still can get what you want out of them, and they'll still give you the honor and respect that you deserve. It is a skill that you have to practice.
Yeah, one of the key piece of advice I always tell guys, going off what you said, Thor, is I tell guys don't confront, redirect. And a little bit of nuance, like there are tactical interruptions that you can do. Like say if somebody's mic is messing up and they're not going to actually be able to get their point across, there are exceptions to that rule. Of course. Or if they completely misunderstood something, you may need to interrupt them before they waste their time going on a whole tangent addressing a straw man, an unintentional straw man. So there are those nuances, but that's what I tell people is that when you're dealing with people that have an out of control ego, the worst thing you can do is butt heads, with your ego to their ego by trying to confront them, tell them they're wrong, tell them they need to correct something, tell them this, that, and the other thing. It doesn't fucking work.
That's it's funny, Carl. It's funny because we teach, or we don't, but popular culture teaches them if you don't unfilter your thoughts and say exactly what you mean, you're not being authentic to your true self. I'm not gonna stay silent. I swear. Could turn any social media
because the thing is people
nobody's going to shut you up.
People always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it, but technically it's both. Right? It's both what you say and how you say it that matters. And one of the things that I run into the problem with, like I said before, about people, getting triggered by my voice, because I'm very loud, I'm a Viking, I can be very obnoxious and passionate. And this is something that we've all been trained to do, just like the feminism. It's in the air we breathe, the water we drink, like Andrew Wilson talks about. But the thing is that the same thing with viewing masculinity. Men have energy when we talk about stuff. We have passion, but people often mistake the passion for anger. I get, why are you so angry, Viking? Why are you so loud? It's just like, because I'm passionate. Have you never met a passionate man before that can actually raise his voice?
It's actually fun.
That's scary.
Yeah. We arguing for fun and then tap our beers and be like, yeah, we're cool. It's like, but you were just shouting at each other. Something women and non-masculine men will never understand.
I've had conversations. I had a conversation yesterday, real quick, with a friend of mine that was heated. If anybody had come in when we were in the middle of that conversation, they would have thought we were fighting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like you remind me of that scene from the old Chappelle show when he's doing the Samuel L. Jackson beer. Why are you yelling? I'm not yelling. I just talk like this.
Yep.
But that brings up the point I was going to say. A lot of guys that do that, and the ones that really get along with everybody and they can get away with it, they always close off with wit. The shit talk turns to wit, to laughter, and it's an amazing way. If you see it, you'll see. And that's that Chappelle thing too. He would use the wit. Yep.
Yeah. So I would say in conclusion to that question, a key piece that the final piece I'd add is pay attention to when your disagreement is about the actual goal or just the process or technique that you are advocating for to reach said goal. That's a key distinction, I would say, because that'll help check your own ego, make sure you don't go off on people. Because that's something, once again, I have a huge fucking ego. I got to be careful and also remember, not everybody can do what you do. That's the key thing that I've had to remember is that I'm hyper, as the middle school English teacher I worked with said, you are hyper competent and hyper conscientious, right? And that is kind of a dangerous combo for me because I end up doing too much for people that don't deserve it. But that being said, we do have a couple of super chats.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Do you want me? We also have a couple of really good comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Are we doing where is it?
You want me to do the Odins?
Yeah, because I haven't found them yet.
All right.
Siege D with the $5 super chat. My Paul Paradigm book is coming today. Looking forward to getting AJ's book next.
Me too.
Get Wraith's book next too. And guys, when you guys get these books, make sure you guys leave Amazon reviews, please. Yes. That really helps us in the algorithm. Absolutely.
Get these two top bestsellers. We also have a $10 super chat, sans video, but Odin Horn. $10 from Free Gender. My grandpa talks shit to your face, but compliments you behind your back, which really pisses off his sons. Lol. I always tell them, wait, your dad's complimenting you behind your back?
That's a good technique if done properly. Obviously has very good social experience with it, but that actually works. Yeah, that's good. And then we got a little thank you here from the mighty Zane. Thor is the MVP of the show.
I gotta have a special one for that. Where's my stop the cap?
Stop the cap.
We need to get Thor a stream deck. So you can just go tap, tap, tap like Myron.
How about this? Let's see. No, not that.
If you guys send a $20 super chat, you get the jiggling booty video. Just a reminder.
Yes.
And Donovan Sharp and MLD are going to disavow us all.
Yep.
or if you buy Wraith's book or Thor or Paul's book during the show, we will play that one as well. That's what I did during my stream when Siege bought Paul's book.
Here you go, mighty Zane. Found it.
The most masculine man on the fucking planet that I've ever seen. Red Pill Thor.
Thank you, King Dre.
Yes, sir.
And Siege D, Mike Steele. Great advice. I learned that the hard way. Go ahead and say in chat, Siege D, what you learned the hard way. Was it like staying out of other people's ego beefs? Or was it dealing directly with someone's ego? Let us know what you learned the hard way.
We got some good chats going on. There's a lot of good folks in there. Digital Q, Siege D, Yakafara 666. Please subscribe to all these guys. These guys are all hard workers, putting out content, telling you guys the stories of their lives. I mean, we've got Wraith with his book out. We've got Paul with the book out. AJ better get his book out soon, or I'm going to kill haul him on the DragonShip next time. So we'll see. And then,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, I was going to say, let's run a mid-roll ad, and I'm going to head to the restroom real quick. So, yeah, run this ad here, and we'll be right back, folks.
Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not alone. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women, by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script, reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life? This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. In The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. Thor's groundbreaking series, you'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be.
What's up with that one dude's laptop in the stock footage? Looks like he spilled shit all over it.
It's a very colorful laptop, but that's why he needs this book, so that he can develop a dominant masculine presence.
Exactly.
Get a more manly laptop.
Yeah, like black or gunmetal gray or something.
Learn to use closed containers around your expensive computer equipment.
Hey, it looks like Glenn's commenting through Stream Elements. So
No, that's mine. I have a bot. I have a bot that does that.
all right. I know he's using that too. I guess that's a pretty good service.
It's free, and it just automatically posts it posts links in your chat, so that you don't have to remember to do it.
Oh, perfect.
Fucking Glenn.
I think he streamed all night last night. Good for him.
He's going for a while last
morning.
night.
It was a 10-hour stream, yeah.
Good God.
Dude, I've been on a couple of those 10 hours. It's rough. Like, I think the last one I was on, I ended up just keeping my camera on and just muting my mic and just sitting there listening to the people argue. I'm like, this conversation is going all over the place, and it's scary.
What algorithm? What algorithm is he going for by that? Is there a super long form algorithm payoff?
Well, the longer you stream, the more live viewers you're going to get recommended.
Okay.
And on top of that, he's offering a little bit of venting for people, which I was talking to somebody about earlier. You know, a lot of people that come into the red pill want to vent because they haven't understood this knowledge, and they kind of been lied to as blue pill simps. And they want to shout it out. That's why they try to red pill their girlfriends and their family, and that's never a great idea. There might be a market to let somebody call in and vent this stuff out. Guess what? I don't want to hear that shit, but somebody's going to want to. And it might be cathartic for them.
I got a question for Charles, because he's been in there a few times with me. Is it me, or does it seem like there's quite a few bad faith actors that come in?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of overlap with the blood sport community.
Yeah,
a lot of the guys.
Everything's got to be a debate.
Channels, and yeah, everything. It's not even a debate. Like that's disingenuous. They always they hide behind it being debate, but all they want is an argument.
Yeah,
you know. So it's kind of reminds me of the old Monty Python skit where he goes to the tries to have a debate with the guy, and he's just like berating him, and he's just like, oh, I came here for a debate, and he's like, oh, this is abuse.
They just want the clips. They want the clips.
Yeah, exactly. And so there are a few bad actors, but then there's also people like what Thor was talking about, because I was in there the other day for like 13 hours, didn't even realize it until I looked at the timer. Just like, oh, we've been going for 13 hours, like holy. But a lot of the people that were coming in, there was women coming in talking about the guys that were bitching in the chat and how that was their perception of the red pill. So I'm having to explain red pill rage and all this stuff. And then you got other guys coming in wanting to complain about women, and then the women complain about them, and it just goes back and forth. And it's, the who hurt you, or I feel like, it's like over and over again. So yeah, it is cathartic for people. But what you pay attention to, or at least that I try to pay attention to, is who's actually making progress and who's just spinning their wheels in the mud.
Yeah, you need to move past that and get into acceptance, because that's where the real beauty of this lies. Because once you have the acceptance of the nature and you can see the nature, you're not going to argue or vent over it. You're going to actually realize it is quite a feature and not a bug, for which you can use to improve your life tremendously and those around you. And until you get there, you're going to kind of be stuck in the rage phase. And that's not necessarily a good place, because the majority of red pills always fade black, and you need to get a little bit past that.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is because I felt it suits this topic very well. There's a lot of ego investment that people bring into those chats with Glenn as well.
Well, there's a lot of people that know that they can
right. Sure.
other people's egos to get it out of their skin and set them off with some easy ad homs. That's why I say all the time, I'm the avatar of amused mastery. So I always go forth with that mindset that I have to be the amused master. Other people can't do what I do. Some can, but if I assume they can, I'm the wrong one. I'm the one assuming that somebody I'm holding them to an unreasonable standard, just like I used to hold my woman to an unreasonable standard. Oh, she can be my equal. No, not only is she not my equal, she doesn't want to be my equal because she's always like, you're the bigger, badder, stronger, smarter, faster one. Like, why do you view yourself as an equal? You're not my equal. You're my superior. And I was the dumbass blue pill that believed that and went along with that for many years, which led to a lot of conflict. So now there isn't that conflict because I realize she can't do everything that I'm expecting her to do from that blue pill delusional mindset. And I just tailor my expectations to match what she can actually do and move accordingly and become outcome independent. So that's another thing. Being outcome independent, dealing with these egos, prevents your ego from spinning out of control because you're able to prevent your investment to become emotional rather than logical. And that's where I see a lot of guys cross that line when they get too logically invested, trying to reason with somebody and force their viewpoint upon them. They end up crossing into that Dunning-Kruger where they're now so arrogant that of their own competence that they're actually incompetent, and the script flips.
Can I beg to differ slightly, or maybe it's not beg to differ?
Maybe add some clarity.
No, it's like maybe just point out something a little bit different. All right, okay. So, and then I'll find out what you guys have to say. You notice that women, when you're dating women, are very much attracted to that ego that is right there on Dunning-Kruger, if not slightly past. They definitely want to see that outsized ego.
Cockiness.
Yeah, is it come off as confidence or is there more to it? What say you?
I would say it kind of falls back to the dark triad because ego is directly related to narcissism, and that's one of the aspects of the dark triad is raise up your narcissistic personality traits. Not necessarily go to a pathological level, but as Ryan Stone puts it, healthy narcissism is your ego.
Royce used to call it irrational self-confidence.
Yes.
It's good to have a little bit of irrational self-confidence, especially when dealing with women, because women respond to a confident man the same way a man responds to a great pair of tits, you know?
Yeah. And I would say
like what? Like this?
Their tongue dropped out. They're like, oh my God, that guy's bold.
I would say it's the biggest difference is like the arrogance that's bad is when not only are you full of yourself, but you also must put others down in order to elevate yourself. So like putting other men down, oh, he's weak, he doesn't lift, he's short, he's blue-pilled, yeah. As opposed to cockiness where it's just like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah, that is actually, I have this written down, that is actually the shortcut the majority of people go to because that's easy. And you guys can see it at work, you can see it here, you can see it in the red pill space. Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, fresh and fit, they're red pill goofs. No way. But they do that to elevate themselves in other standings and to bolster their own ego shortcomings. It's not necessary at all. Why do we have the model a rising tide lifts all ships? Yeah, we're not going to play that game here because we don't have to. Because we're better than that, and our actions will actually speak far louder than our words. So it might take a little longer to actually demonstrate your actions than to talk somebody else down. That's only a temporary fix. You're just temporarily putting something in somebody's mind. You're ringing the bell hoping that it sticks. And most of the times it won't, you know. And sometimes you'll ring the bell and it's going to ring for a long time and everybody's going to know you're a complete asshole for even, you know, talking somebody down and you're way out of place. Now what do? You know, most because their ego won't apologize and say, you know, I really misread that, you know. So that's an easy thing to do. I got myself wanting to do it. I think if we're all honest here, in certain circumstances, we'll see somebody else and it's the boss or it's on the podcast. Like, I just want to say how they're screwed up or this or that, because they are. It's just your opinion, and it elevates your ego. And hopefully, you're elevating your perception in front of somebody that you think matters, so you can get a better value exchange. It's a shortcut. I don't think that's right. I think demonstrating your value is much better than doing the shortcuts. I just don't see those working out in the long run. In the short run, you can say, yeah, dark triad, and it kind of works. But that gossip catches up with you.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that women are always going to respond badly when you're being judgmental of others, both the women and men.
Yep.
So because just like how these, a lot of these guys that are in their ego, they're trying to sit there. Oh, that your boyfriend, he's an asshole, right? I'm the better option, like, yeah, I would treat you much better, and they think that they're selling themselves, but they're actually showing that.
And then they wonder why they don't get the girl.
Yeah. And it's
good old sneaky fucking game.
The asshole doesn't care about her like that, doesn't care about the other guys, and maybe he does, maybe he's going to mate guard, but the thing is that if he sees that, he's going to do actual mate guarding rather than trying to sabotage in mate guard. And that's where a lot of people will try, a lot of guys, they'll get into that mental space where they do need to sabotage. And that's actually one of the pitfalls I had to deal with in my relationship, because I was trained for tactical assessment. So anytime my dad would be like, report, son, and I would have to tell him a tactical assessment of everything that just happened in whatever business dealing he had and figure out the strengths and weaknesses and whether or not the person was bullshitting. So it's very reflexive when somebody talks about somebody for me to start like listicling them off, going like, okay, I see these are his strengths and these are his weaknesses. And when I was doing that with my girl, thinking I'm just chit-chatting, she's sitting there thinking I'm complaining. And I didn't understand that the action that I was doing seemed fine in my own head and my own ego and my own training. But then judging by the actual results, I'm like, yeah, she just thinks I'm bitching about these motherfuckers and I'm not doing anything about it.
I wanted to piggyback off of what Thor was saying about how we on the DragonShip try to be the rising tide that lifts all ships. I talk about it in the new book, the Psychology Paradigm, that a lot of guys have a competition paradigm. They think that if one guy gets something, that it's automatically taking away from them somehow. And you find that in the space, right? If I'm getting more viewers than you, then somehow I'm taking viewers away from you. It's like, no, not necessarily, right?
It's not zero sum.
Right. It's not a zero sum game. And so it's actually healthier to develop a paradigm of abundance, right?
Yes.
Like what Wraith was saying is he can't possibly help every man on the planet by himself. And not every guy is going to resonate with the things that Wraith talks about. So there's more than enough to go around. So having this concept of abundance where you don't have the need for competition, but you would rather collaborate, it's almost a more healthier paradigm.
I absolutely believe that it is. Thank you for saying that, my friend. I agree.
Yeah, I think if you look at, sorry, Thor, I didn't mean to walk over you. I think if you look at, like when I in the book that I wrote about frame, and when I talk to people and have them work on their frame, I tell them, your behavior comes from your beliefs and your values and stuff. All right. And people hold values for two different reasons, mostly. One is because that's an actualized belief that they have, and they look at it as this is who I am. And the other one is it's not something they have, it's something they want. So they look at it from this is what I want to be. All right. The people that hold the value as this is where I want to be, those are the ones Thor talking about that are using the shortcuts all the time. Because they're trying to make up for their own incompetency in their values and in their beliefs. So they're sitting there saying, well, yeah, look at that guy. He's worse than I am. He's not saying that he's better than them. He's just trying to say that guy's worse than I am. Okay, because then they don't see the image of what he really is. All right. So when in 90% of your life and what you're going to deal with is going to depend on how you perceive the world and how you want the world to perceive you, which is what? Frame. All right. So if you don't have any frame, and you look at a lot of young men today, everybody has frame, but if they have a very weak frame, they're constantly using those shortcuts. They're constantly trying to compensate with ego. They're constantly trying to make less people look at them in a negative light. And that's what we try to work with and try to get guys to understand. You've got to know yourself, and you've got to know who you are authentically. And if you don't, your values are, your values are something that you may put out there and say, I have integrity, but you never practice it. And when I associate with people like Paul and Thor and you guys, I do think you have integrity. That's why I'm here. If I didn't think you had integrity, I wouldn't associate with you.
Yeah, people like that don't want to put in the work. It's always the same set of excuses and put downs. They look at a rich person and be like, oh, I would never want to be rich because rich people are materialistic and I don't want to become that. I would never want to be jacked because jacked people are stupid and I like being smart.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I don't want 10 women. I don't want to date 10 women at once because that would make me a man whore. It's always the same thing again, like moral, basically elevating their self above the more successful person, successful in a stack or a slice, but using a moral argument. It's like jacked people are stupid, rich people are materialistic and greedy, and guys who get lots of girls are immoral and have STDs.
You know what I get a lot is because I'm a runner. I'm an avid runner. A lot of people I hear they'll say, "Oh, if I'm running, then someone's chasing me," or I have a gun, so I don't have to run. It's like, yeah.
Hear the same thing for MMA.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you mentioned the workout thing where people, I don't want to get jacked. I find that it happens with women because I've trained NPC competitors, coached them for quite a while. And, before all this, but the one thing that women getting into this right away is I don't want to be all buffed out and look like those bodybuilders or men. The first thing, they talk some of those women down, but they never will look like that. No matter how many PEDs they take, how much dieting they do, they can never actually be like that. Paul's gal is a competitor, and she knows how hard it is. Those girls will never look like that. The guys that say, I don't want to get too buff because when I quit, it turns to fat, they have no clue. That's kind of related to what we're talking about, where they talk it down so they don't have to do it. It's the shortcut to talk it down because I don't want to be that way. I want a different way, but I'm going to make this stuff up so that I feel good about myself.
It's an excuse. It's an excuse to keep them where they're at, and that's their paradigm, guys.
It makes their ego feel good.
Yeah,
it's like the moral high ground Dunning-Kruger mixed together.
Yes, it's
good point.
It's that leftism basically view of things that we've kind of been seeing like the past 10 years, where it's changed the rules of the game, i.e. what has worked for human civilization for 15,000 years, basically who's got all the cool shit, who's jacked, who's got all the women, right? Those are the winners. And so change the rules of the game to bring all them down so that they become winners when they're fat, lazy, poor, can't even get a single gal, etc., etc.
I like to call that we all suck equally.
Yeah, I call it the kneecapping strategy. Just kneecap everybody, and we'll all be equal.
Yep.
I thought we did that in Iran and Afghanistan. It was called embrace the suck.
When you embrace the suck, that's usually working towards something better. But in this case, it's just
like
no, better. We're gonna do like a head trimmer. We're just gonna clip you.
I'm embracing the suck right now.
Yeah,
exactly. I got a story about suck. It's not that, guys. So I've been married 33 years, and my wife was asking her aunt, who's was married 57 years, what was the secret to a good marriage? You know what her answer was, seriously? She looked at my wife and she said, the secret to having a good long-term marriage is here. Sometimes you just have to suck it up. That was the whole secret right there that she told her.
In many ways.
You know what my you know what my grandma Bauer told my mom when my mom got married? She goes, "Keep your mouth shut."
Oh.
She goes, "The secret is keep your mouth shut." You know what my mom didn't do? My mom constantly is. My mom's an overbearing nag. She just can't keep her mouth shut.
Isn't that amazing though? That overrides your ego, because you do a hard day's work and you walk in the door and you start hearing all of the crap that went on, and the dog shit here and peed there and the kids did this, and it's incessant how bad her day was, but you know, this and that and the neighbor. You guys get that when you come home, it kind of throws your ego out of whack, or you kind of not liking that a lot. Sometimes you just need 15 minutes to just be quiet after you have a hard day's work. I do, but that's me.
That's why some guys, when they get home, they just sit in their car in their driveway for about 15 minutes in their nothing box.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, my father did that.
Just decompress before you go in the house and start dealing with, like, you just got done with a full days of bullshit. Now you got to go in and deal with another full night of bullshit. Well, let's just get in my nothing box for a little bit. And
that brings it back to that statement I made earlier in the intro about checking your ego in at the door. That goes both ways. Check your ego in at the door when you go to work. Check your ego in at the door when you come home.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, because you do kind of put on a different ego in different circumstances. At least I would. If I want to come home and relax, still got an ego, but it's going to be a little different. I mean, I'm the king, but I don't, I don't have to be the same guy. It'd be a little more.
It's one of the things I learned being in this space is being able to just communicate with my girl, right? And if my girl respects me, all I gotta do is be like, I need to decompress, give me a few, and then come talk to me. Or if she comes to me like in a panic with a problem, as I've talked about this before, I'll just be like, is this something that I need to address now? Or is this something that you just want to talk about and we can save it for later? If it's important, I'll drop what I'm doing now and address it. If it's not, please come back later. And because I have frame in my relationship and I communicate those standards, my girl respects it.
So is your frame wood or is it steel?
Both.
I'm just messing with you, dude.
Adamantium.
Mithril.
Exactly, mithril, right. Forged in the heart of a star.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, unfortunately, my father, I don't know what kind of frame my father has. I would have to do like a deep dive analysis on my own father. But he did the thing where he would work late, like where everybody had left the office and it's dark and he's there all by himself just to get enough peace and quiet, because he would just get assaulted verbally, like the spewing whenever he came home. Aw.
CG just sent me this in Discord with Paul's book, so I had to show it.
Dog game.
All right,
Oh,
now,
nice.
here, I got something for you, CHD.
Does that qualify for the $19 super chat or the $20 super chat video?
Yeah, do it. Hey, yeah, and send it. Tag me on Twitter or something with that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, do the $20 super chat for that one. That's good.
I'm jealous though, Siege.
Where's the super chat video?
It's down at the bottom. Here we go, guys.
Hit it.
Keep your hand out your pants.
The gap that counts.
Don't tell me what to do.
Ah.
Are you gonna play it or not, AJ? Come on.
I'm trying to find it. I thought you found it. All right, there.
Super chat will see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
Oh, good God. We need
And that was for the
video
dogo, because
clip.
I love dogos.
We need the video clip of the coyote with his tongue coming out, his eyeballs poking straight out at the end of that clip. You guys know.
Yes.
You guys
Classic
watch
cartoons.
Looney Tunes, Yep.
I'll repent later.
That's the best thing about Christianity. You can live a horrible life, apologize at the end, and get in for free.
You got limited get out of jail free cards. Unlimited.
Or
I thought we were running a Christian channel here.
Or you just go pagan Norse and worship Odin and never have to apologize.
Oh, wait. The best analogy I've ever heard, and I sat here and I had to held I was laughing so hard, was what AJ did when he compared Christianity to Odinism.
Oh, yes.
Dude, can you just do it again? That was That was funny. That cracked
All
me up because it hit me at the
I
right
know what it is. I know exactly what's going to be, but I
Alrighty,
won't
guys.
spoil it.
So Yahweh, the Christian God, and Jesus promised to end the world of wicked people. Thor and Odin promised to end the world of frost giants. I don't see any frost Jotun running around now, do you? I see plenty of wicked people, though.
Oh, I thought so. The one that I thought you were going to whip out was what was it? Oh, your God got nailed to a tree. My God wields a hammer.
Yeah. There's another good one that's like that too. It says, he sent Jesus to, get tortured, hung on a tree, and sacrificed for your sins. Odin handed a hammer to Thor and said, "Go beat the shit out of all the bad guys."
Blasphemy, by the way, blasphemy.
We're all going to HE double hockey sticks now.
It's only blasphemy if you believe it.
All right.
Kind of reminds me of that Far Side comic. You ever see the Far Side comics from years ago?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Grew
They
up
got
on
the
them.
one where they got the Jewish guy standing there with a worried look on his face. Then you got a Christian guy and you got the Hindu guy, and they're all looking up. And at the pearly gates, they got Thor and they got Odin. And I think the Jewish guy's going, "Oh, fuck." Oh, shit.
Welcome to Valhalla.
Yeah. He said something like, "Ah," and then shit. It was pretty funny. That was one of his comic books, But, no, it's all good. Thanks, AJ, for that. That was totally hilarious.
Dude, I love that old meme.
That was a good one for sure. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so I'm not really. I think that because we, like I said, I had like a third question, but we already covered it. Because that was, like how to deal with your ego at home and stuff like that, and we just, happened to meander down that path, which is why I didn't bother write up any questions for this because it seemed to write itself. We all flow on that same page. So I guess if there's any more thoughts that you guys wanted to talk about, feel free.
I think we can go around the
Any
horn
questions
now.
or
Let's
things
go around
you'd
the
like to
horn
press
and then
the
I'll
ego?
close it. Mhm.
Yeah, because I got a masculine geek here at 3, so yeah, I'm fine with going around the horn.
Let's do it. And
All
then
right.
I'll close it.
All right. Well, I got it. I can close it out, Thor. I got all the stuff queued up.
Okay,
But,
cue up The Darkest of the Night. That's what we'll go out on.
Yeah, the song you made. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, Mike Steele, what you got going on? Where can people find you?
Oh, you would go with me first. Okay. All right. While I'm looking for funny shit on my server to share with the chat, you make me go first. Okay. Well, guys, I'm just enjoying Las Vegas here. It's a fantastic weekend. I'm looking forward to getting some shit done around the house. You can find me on Instagram. Now, I don't do as much YouTubing as these guys here. I'm not what you call a content creator yet. We'll see about that. But if you want wholesome, warm fuzzies, you want food, scenic shots, celebrities, wacky shit, that's where you find me on Instagram, Mike_Steele_Vegas. If you want to watch me raw dog the internet into an early grave, then follow me on X. That's right. The X is uncensored. So Mike_Steele_, because all other variations were taken, including the Vegas. So check me out there, and don't be offended. Don't follow me on X. If you are easily offended, do not follow me. Word to the wise.
Or do, and get up under your feels about it.
Yes. Don't at me.
All right, and then Paul.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you guys some questions, okay? Are you struggling to break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle no matter what you do and how hard you work? Do you feel stuck in a body that doesn't reflect the man that you want to be? Is your mental frame easily shaken, leaving you feeling powerless and unsure? Do you find yourself constantly compromising, unable to stand firm in your decisions and boundaries? Because all of these things are holding you back, and all of them are because of your paradigm, your subconscious programming. And if you want to get unstuck, get my new book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm. It's the first book in Thor's new series based on his first book, A Dominant Masculine Presence. Get it on paperback, hardcover, and Kindle right now. The audiobook is on the way. I've recorded up to chapter 4 now. And you're going to want to listen to this book on Audible or read it 10 to 15 times. Okay. Other than that, I'm going to be recording here at 4:30 Eastern time with Mr. Justin on his channel. I don't know if that's going to be live or pre-record. I'm not sure, but
is that Coach Justin?
Yeah. So I'm going to
I said hi. Good man.
All right, I will. And then other than that, tune into the podcast Monday. We are continuing the Book of Puck series.
Excellent. All right, AJ.
Be on the lookout. I'm probably about 3 weeks out from publishing my book, which is going to be The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology, Emotions, Cultivating Emotional Durability, where I talk about how to actually develop that frame a little bit deeper internally, and given some anecdotes from my own stories, whether it be from the Navy, my divorce, my horrible breakup with my now ex-fiance, as well as growing up as a middle child in a impoverished family. So be on the lookout for that. You'll catch me live from time to time on Glenn's channel, Masculine Geeks channel. And for any of the guys that are doing the project with Thor, I would love to do about an hour-long interview with any of you. So Wraith, if you're interested, let me know. I just did one with Paul. I put the link in earlier. And that, trying to move out of this place.
Not trying, you are.
Well, it's in progress.
Yes,
Do
sir.
or do not. There is no try. All right. Wraith.
Look at that guy.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got the book out, the second book in the series after Thor's book. It's about Wraith. It's about frame. So, and I'm not very good at promoting myself because this is all new to me, guys. I just do coaching and writing. So, if you want to work with me, or if you read the book and there's questions you want to ask about the book, you can find me on Telegram, Wraith_Detour, IG, Wraith_Detour, Facebook, Wraith_Detour, and Yahoo email at the same. So
I dropped a link to your book in the chat there, Wraith.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So, like I said, I think the book will it's gives you a process to understanding frame and also how to develop frame statements. I have a second book out, and I think its focuses on understanding your values, and how your values were created over societal norms. And I think there's even a chapter in there about purpose. So,
Excellent.
and if you buy the books, leave a evaluation of the book on Amazon.
Yes, sir. All right.
All vouch for it. He's got a fantastic book. I'll tell you what. I'm going to be holding a dozen of these in a year, guys. And they're all going to be high quality, because quality is number one, to get you the information you need in a format that'll be able to be passed on to future generations of men. So with that, I'm just proud to be here and proud of all of these men, Drakars, all of us on the Dragon Ship, and rising that tide. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
See you next time.
All right. And then last but not least, I'll take us out here. Follow my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get monetized, so anybody that subscribes, I got more content. I've been talking to some of the guys from Fashion Fit. Maybe pull up and do some panel shows during the week. We'll see how that goes. I've got some interest in that. So there will be more content. And like I said, I am trying to get monetized, so appreciate all the assistance with that. And with that being said, where is it? Take us out with ad and enjoy some music that Thor made on our way out.
Listen to the words.
Have you ever felt like you're fading into the background? Like the world doesn't want you to stand out, to be strong, to be masculine? You're not imagining it. For decades, society has been reshaping the role of men, leaving many feeling lost and disconnected. It's time to change the narrative. In A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. Thor, discover the path to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your identity as a man. This isn't about fitting into a stereotype. It's about embracing your natural traits and honing them into a powerful presence. Learn the 7 skills that every man needs to lead with authority, read body language, and control his emotions. RP Thor breaks it down with clear examples and practical advice to help you transform your life. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to lead with pride and courage. A dominant masculine presence gives you the tools to do just that. Get A Dominant Masculine Presence by RP Thor on Amazon or listen on Audible. Don't let society dictate who you should be. Claim your strength and redefine your future.
Thor, protector of mankind, God amongst us, mighty and kind, wielding Odin's hammer strong, sending Jormungandr back where he belongs. Hammer of lightning, caster of thunder, protector of wisdom, never of blunder. Thor, call upon thy might, guide us through the darkest night. Thor, God so grand, will you lift our hand? I'm a voice like a ship gleaming, adventure awaits, we're all dreaming. Valkyries standing tall, the circus, some Vikings hear the call. Join the Caudillo's men, as we strike out we ascend. God so grand, will you lift our hand? I'm a Volkswagen ship gleaming, adventure awaits, we're all dreaming. The dream, rising tide, lift our ships, take the ride. Thor, son of Odin, true, protector proud will follow you to the shield wall, Vikings. All jumps, Vikings, see you in the heart. To the shield wall, to shield wall. To the shield wall, see you over the cross. The Holocaust, we will not die down to die, for Thor is with us. Through the shield wall, Vikings hold. All jumps, Vikings, see you in the lava. Through the shield wall, hold to shield wall. Through the shield wall, see you over the Holocaust. The Holocaust, and we will not die there today, for Thor is with us.